I bring in now trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Maris to talk about the case and this phone call. And I want to play another portion, Misty, for folks at home. This again is Lori Vallow's former best friend talking about the zombie element, the very bizarre element of this case. Let's listen.
As soon as they started questioning her or, just thought something suspicious going on, all of a sudden that person became dark or a zombie.
Did they deem Charles a zombie?
Yes.
Did Lori refer to Tammy Daybell as a zombie?
I believe so.
Did she refer to Tylee as a zombie?
Yes.
Did she refer to JJ as a zombie?
Yes.
Misty, what stands out to you about this testimony and the phone call we just played between Gibb and Lori Vallow?
Very, very disturbing testimony. Of course, the jury is definitely thinking about this in the sense that you have somebody who is the former best friend of Lori Vallow, and she is such an important witness on several fronts. First, she knows the history between Chad and Lori. And remember, a big element of this case is this conspiracy charge. So that's one piece of it. Also, this phone call that she had that she surreptitiously recorded because of her concern about JJ was the result of Lori Vallow asking her not to answer calls from law enforcement regarding a welfare check because Lori had actually lied to police and said that JJ was with her friend. So all of that really important. Now we have this other element that speaks to motive, and that's this doomsday cult, this idea that people become zombies. Now we're hearing this in the telephone conversation from a friend, and this is all going to speak to the prosecutor's methodic questioning. All of the individuals who were deemed zombies by Lori Vallow have now turned up dead. And so all of this really, really important to help the jury understand not only the beliefs of this doomsday cult, but the progression of Lori Vallow from doting mother to her meeting Chad Daybell and then the zombies and ultimately hiding the whereabouts of JJ from law enforcement and family members.
Yeah, like a vicious web of violent crime and cover-up here. Here's another clip from court. This is Gibb talking about Tammy Daybell, who is the ex-wife, now dead, of Lori Vallow's current husband, Chad.
I asked her what happened to Tammy, and she says that she had, a dark entity in her, and they had to do what they could to get that spirit out of her.
Misty, is this an admittance of guilt?
It seems to be what we would call a statement against interest. And because, again, remember, with Tammy originally, law enforcement was told that she died of natural causes in her sleep. Of course, her body was exhumed recently, and it was found that she died due to asphyxiation. So now we're hearing from Lori Vallow's friend that this dark entity, again, going back to these ideas of becoming a zombie, being dark, well, now we hear that Lori Vallow believed that about Tammy and that action needed to be taken according to this conversation. So certainly this is going towards that idea of the conspiracy, towards the idea of motive, which of course in this case, Marni, in order for a jury to understand or to convict, how could a mother do this to her own children? They're going to have to understand that underlying motive, and that's what prosecutors are focused on.
Pretty compelling testimony for the state. So how's the defense going to respond to this? What do you think they have in their back pocket?
I think the defense is really going to go with what was laid out in the opening statement, and I think that's likely their best way of attacking this. We're hearing a lot about all of the death and all of these ideas about zombies, but we're not hearing anything about Lori Vallow actually taking what's called an overt act towards these killings. And we know that the defense was focused on that because this is, of course, a conspiracy case. And they said in their opening, really listen to, you're going to hear a lot about Chad Daybell, you're going to hear a lot about this tangled web, but what role does Lori play? And the defense said, the prosecution is not going to be able to tell you. So I think the defense is going to really focus on raising reasonable doubt and saying there's holes in the prosecution's story and they can't really explain what Lori Vallow's role was. While she's making these statements that are certainly quite disturbing, we haven't heard her take any sort of affirmative act towards the death of these individuals. And I really think that's where the defense is going. But there's a lot of evidence out there, Marni, and I'm open-minded. I'm a defense lawyer, so I always say wait and see. But this case is so tangled, and the lies about the whereabouts of the children, to me, will likely be something that sticks with the jury.
Right, and I'm making like a mental parallel, Misty, between the Murdaugh case, and nobody knew quite what that jury was going to do. It was all circumstantial, right? There were a lot of similarities and a web of crimes, and ultimately, Alec Murdaugh is behind bars. Is that typically when you see this amount of lies and so many bizarre twists to a case like that the jury leans in that direction?
I think so. When you have a circumstantial case, we always say it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. And when you see lie upon lie, especially about the whereabouts of these children, why would there be lies if she wasn't looking for them, if she had an awareness? Why wouldn't she have reported her children missing? It all speaks to that she knew exactly what happened to them back in September. And then, of course, they're found on Chad Daybell's property. We heard a telephone conversation between them about the search. Nothing overt was said, but there was an acknowledgement of the property being searched and a discussion of that. And so I think the jury's going to have put together all of the pieces. And your analogy, Marni, is really on point, because there wasn't necessarily the forensic evidence in Murdaugh. We don't have that here either because of the decomposition of the bodies when they were found and the condition that they were found. So it's really about putting together the story and those lies that are told over and over. And now we had a witness on the stand that should have been a proponent of Lori Vallow who's adverse to her, a friend. So that's going to be very effective. And the jury's going to just be putting together these pieces and saying, my gosh, if my children were missing, what would I do? And I don't think they're going to buy her. I don't think they're going to buy this story that it was not her and she had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.